Hi, my name's Sarah and this is Long Acres Alpaca Farm, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a Heddle Ridge loom. And I went ahead and set up a few things already on it, but I'll go through and show you what I've set up, and this might be in two parts. So first of all, what I'm going to make are placemats, and this will be the end product. This placemat. It measures 13 by 17 inches. And we're going to make this out of alpaca rug yarn that's been dyed. This alpaca yarn is the thirds, what's off the legs, and it's wrapped around a cotton core. And I really like to do the placemats with this. Not only is it nice and soft, but it also holds up really well, plus it goes really fast. So once you get your loom warped, really you can make a placemat in 20 minutes. So what really takes the time is actually warping the loom. It's nice to have big space to do it, as you can see, and we'll go over some of the points on that. First I want to show you, this is the loom. You can see it doesn't take up much space, and I have it set up. I have the back of it, this is called the back, set up by bolting it to my table, and then 12 feet away is where I have a peg set up, and again that is bolted as well. And the reason I set it up 12 feet away is because I want to do 4 placemats. And I just know that if I set it up 12 feet away, I'll be able to get 4 placemats. Because like I said, it takes the most time to set up the warp. And once that's set up, the rest goes really fast. And that's the most I can really get around this wheel, is to set up for 4. So now I know my placemats need to be this width. There are a total of 50 spaces, slots if you will, from this purple to this purple, and the white is the very middle. So what I did was, just because it's easier, I don't have to count them every time, is I found the very middle of the heddle and I tied a white string around it, and then because I know I need to have 50 slots just from trial and error, I went out 25 away from that and I tied the purples in. So this way I don't have to count every time. I know to just start here and go to here. And you want it in the very middle, because when you pull your heddle back, if everything's over here, it's going to be a very uneven pull. So you always set up from the very middle, no matter what your width is. If you want to go the whole way out, I think this is a 24-inch loom, you would always set up in the middle. If you only wanted to do 20 inches, then you're going to have 2 inches left on either side. So this is the back, and I know it's the back because it's a smaller area, and this is then obviously it's going to be the front. This is your working area. And the heddle is actually in the neutral position. It's all along the back of the loom. I have a front position, an up position and a down position. Those are my working positions. So we're going to put it in the neutral position to start. Then you have a couple cranks over here as well to lock it into place. This one's missing a pin to hold it in place, but it still works just fine. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to warp it. We're going to be using some cotton warp thread. And the reason I like the cotton is because you're going to be going back and forth over it a number of times, and the cotton really holds up for that. You can get this in a lot of different, any color. You could dye this if you wanted to. I'm just going to use a natural today to work with. So I put that down on, I use my spinning spindles. You could just put it in a bowl, just something to keep it stationary so it's not rolling all around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this back bar so that this part of it is about 3 inches out, and lock that in place. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your string and you're going to tie around the bar. So this is simply tied around this first one. And I tied it so it's right behind the purple. Then what you need to do is get this tool, and you're going to pull each of the warp lines through the slot. Not through the eye, just through the slot. And you're going to start at the one side, you're going to work your way the whole way across. This takes a little bit of time, what you can see is I'm just grabbing it, pulling it through, and now I'm going to walk the whole way up to my peg that's 12 feet away. You kind of keep them about the same tension. And what you see I'm doing is, one time I go over the bar and the next time I go under the bar. Grab it with the hook, pull it through, and walk it down to the peg. Come back through. This time I went over. It's obvious if you don't do one time over and one time under because it won't stay. So that's the only reason to go over and under. So this time I have to go up and over. And again, just going through the slots, not the eyes. We're going to be going through the eyes next. And I'll show you how we do that. Now, to do 4 placemats, I've already calculated that I need to have 50 across, 50 slots across. So I do 25 out from the middle. And I'm actually going to end up with 100 strands coming through. Because as you can see, I'm pulling 2 strands with each one. The other thing is I pre-cut my yarn, my rug yarn, and I pre-cut that to 50 feet. So 50 slots, 50 feet. And the third thing that's easy to remember is I'm actually going to have 50 rows on my placemat. So it's easy to remember, 50, 50, and 50. 50 slots, 50 feet, and 50 rows. One thing is you do want to measure as you're going, when you set it up, to make sure you have the right length. First placemat I made was actually way too short, and the reason was you put on a fair amount of tension on this, and I measured it with all the tension, and when I let go of the tension, here it was much shorter. So what I'll do sometimes is actually just put a mark before I even put tension on, like a little mark with a magic marker of some sort, where I want to stop, just in case I don't really get the full length from my rug yarn, because sometimes the rug yarn is thin and sometimes the rug yarn is thick. So, 50 rows could be a lot longer or it could be a lot shorter than what I want. And we're almost halfway on this. When I'm doing, the reason I'm going to do 4 placemats on this is because warping it takes so much time. It only takes 20 minutes to actually make a placemat. And what you do is you go ahead and you make the first placemat, and then you just put some cardboard separators in, and then make the second placemat, and so on and so forth. I can only get 4 on because I'm kind of limited by these bars in the back. They get too much on them, you can't turn them. You can't work in your Loom shed. That's what your working space is called, the shed. Now with these rigid heddles, you can put a second heddle on. You can obviously work with yarn, other yarns. You could also do different patterns with it. A lot of the patterns you can do with a standard loom. You could interpret them for the rigid heddle loom as well. What I'm going to show you today is just a straightforward weaving pattern. Won't take much thought. And you can see we're getting this all the way set up, keeping our tension about equal. We're going to really add the tension on once I get all this set up. And when you go to add the tension, it's really nice to have a second person there to help you. It's not that you can't do it by yourself, but if you have a second person, it's going to be really nice. So what I'm going to do is finish this out for now. I'm going to tie it off on the other end, just like we did the first strand. And then we're going to come back for part 2.